God is beyond any forms and names. Yet, what is the reason behind Shastras glorifying Him with forms and names? Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam ichchamitvam drashtumaham tathaiva tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena sahasrabaho bhavavishvamurte. In the Bhagavad Gita, on Arjuna's request to see Bhagavan Krishna in his original four-armed form, the divine form of Narayana, crowned with a kirita, holding the chakra and the gada, Krishna reveals the same. This divine form of Narayana is vividly described in all our Shastras. Our Shastras glorify Bhagavan's forms and names. Therefore, he has divine forms and names. Now let us consider briefly the aspect of his names. Yani namani gaunani vikhyatani mahatmanaha rishibhi parigitani tani vakshyami bhutaye. Bhishma declares in the Vishnu Sahasranama. Every nama, every name captures Bhagavan's guna, his glorious attribute. And it is through his names we can access him and experience him easily. He has infinite Kalyana gunas and therefore infinite names. Yet the Shastras have given us a set of names with which we can know him and access him. With regard to his forms, we need to understand why the Shastras say he is beyond forms. Why they talk about formlessness of God as well. Formlessness is the state of being Vibhu or omnipresent. How can he have form and still be omnipresent? Such a question is quite natural. Let us try to understand this through a simple example. The pervasiveness of sound is not hindered when sound is given a form, as in the form of beautiful music. Similarly, God is omnipresent and at the same time he has a divine form. Parashara declares, Avikaraya Shuddhaya Nityaya Paramatmane Sadaika Rupa Rupaya Vishnave Savajishnave. Prostrations to Bhagavan Vishnu, who is immutable, who is inherently pure, eternal, the Paramatma, who has a consistent, undiversified, ageless form, and who is the conqueror of one and all. Avikaraya Shuddhaya Nityaya Paramatmane Sadaika Rupa Rupaya Vishnave Sarvajishnave. We need to understand that having a form does not limit Bhagavan. When we light an oil lamp in a dark room, we can notice both the magnificent flame and its effulgence that fills the room with bright light without being limited by the form of the flame. Bhagavan's form is like that of the flame, and his omnipresence is like that of the flame's effulgence. What causes limitation is not form, but matter, prakriti. Anything made of prakriti, the three gunas, is subject to change, subject to limitations. We subconsciously project our conceptions of matter on the form of God and so think that a form would limit him. Bhagavan's form is beyond prakriti. Therefore, it is not subject to changes, limitations. Now, if the Shastras say he has forms and he is also formless, is there an inherent contradiction? Are Shastras confused? Now consider that two trustworthy teachers make two statements. Statement 1, Raju stayed at home. Statement 2, Raju scored good marks in the exam. The two statements might seem conflicting in nature and apparently inconsistent. One can choose to consider only one of them right, ignoring the other. On the other hand, these two statements can be reconciled by understanding the fact that Raju stayed at home the day before the exam, not the day of the exam. Similarly, the statements about God having and not having a form can also be easily reconciled. God has no material form, but has a spiritual form. He has infinite auspicious divine qualities, and at the same time he is blemishless. Material forms are temporary, so attraction to them leads only to eventual frustration. But Bhagavan's form is eternal, so attraction to his form leads to ultimate fulfillment. The scriptural statements that are negations, like God doesn't have a form, you should actually understand the statement as God doesn't have a form like ours. Scriptural statements that are negations save us from frustration, and scriptural statements that are affirmations that he has glorious forms lead us to fulfillment. Sarvam Sri Krishnarpanamastu.